No. No, what is going on with you this morning?
Good morning, Jenny White.
What's
I figured
happening?
I'd bring our good friend in, Kamala. She doesn't have anything to do. I figured I'd bring her in for the podcast.
Now that she's gainfully unemployed, she can. What in the world do you have Kamala for?
Well, someone dropped her off. I guess they didn't need her. Literally.
Oh my gosh, seriously, somebody dropped that. Oh well, I mean, okay, well, I think that's
how we get rid of her around here.
Yeah, I think we've gotten rid of her, so that's a good thing. So you sent me a.
We should have had her up on the big screen.
Oh yeah, no. What are you leading me down this primrose path for? No, we're good. So you said no.
This is life size too.
She what?
No,
but she's still in the frame. She's still, yeah, okay. And what happened to your T-shirt? I think everybody wants to know where your T-shirts have gone.
All right, she's gone.
Where have your T-shirts gone?
Well, it's getting a little colder.
You just look so nice. You just look so nice in your suit the other day. You just can't let it go.
Well, I've got a lot of suits. I guess I should wear them every now and then.
You should. You looked really awesome. So, you sent me a video this morning of President Trump telling us how he was going to beat the deep state. I'm so looking forward to this. Do you suppose he could move to Oklahoma and do that here?
Well, maybe he can set the precedent to just allow some people to get some backbones, like the way Representative Humphrey has a backbone, and thank God for him.
Yes, who's on the phone. So I guess until he gives us the high five or the thumbs up, we'll probably have to visit some. So it's raining again. I was going to say I may have to leave early because Dave's down preparing the ark, and I may have to help a little on that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to go.
2x2.
All right. So it's very weird. It seems very weird that we're now in the post-Trump. I mean, like the election's over.
Is that my internet or your internet?
I think it may be yours because mine's good for a change.
Okay.
So I think it might be yours. Mine's looking good.
See if we can.
It's not giving me signals, bad signals.
And in that video, you sent me a text in that video. He did say he is going to push for an amendment to have term limits to stop that.
Oh, because I was like, wait a minute. If you don't, we already don't have term limits. I didn't hear that. And I thought, why would you not want term limits? Because that's the biggest problem. And it's so interesting. I'm still struggling waiting for JJ to get off the phone. JJ, I know you can hear me. So as soon as you're off the phone, give me the thumbs up. Okay, now maybe he's ready. All right. Are you ready? Okay. He's good. U.S. Gen Xers showed up at the polls. This is a good one. Again, and we'll be ones to fix the mess the baby boomer generation got us into it. Term limits in any retirement. It's not funny because I get the guy because I'm just the tail end of the boomer generation, but I was pretty much, my parents were divorced. I pretty much raised myself. We wandered the streets. I wasn't your typical, boomer. I was the tail end of the generation. And I so much more relate to the Xers than I do the boomers. So, and I totally get it. I read an article by our friend Megan Fox at PJ Media the other day. It was phenomenal. I posted it on my Facebook page. Everybody should read it just because it's phenomenal. And basically she said, you can't have no Xer wants an authoritarian. We had no parents. Nobody bothered us. Why would we want an authoritarian government? And I was like, yes, this is Yes, it is on YouTube, Facebook user, and I'll check the stream for you as soon as we get Representative Humphrey in here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Representative Humphrey. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing awesome.
Awesome.
Watching it rain, watching it sprinkle a little bit down here. We hadn't got the rain y'all got.
Oh, no, it's coming down quite a bit here.
Well, I got feed in the back of the truck. I left it there, so maybe I'd catch it rain. I'll make it rain. So,
Make it rain.
that's right. You just leave feed in the back of the truck. It'll make it rain.
Yeah, no, you want to get off and go around and go put that feed up from one farmer to another. I know how that is.
No, we'll just let it rain on it. I'll go feed it here a little bit. No problem.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So you have been an absolute champion of reforming the DHS system.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you've been an absolute champion on a whole bunch of other things as well. However, the DHS part is the part I think we're the most interested in today. What caused you to get a bee in your bonnet about the whole DHS thing? What started it? Not like we didn't know there were problems, but I'm just saying, was there one incident that kind of led you to go, that's it, I'm done?
Yeah, it really about 3 incidents of where, I concentrate mainly on corrections, and that's what I was working on, but we've got so much corruption at the Capitol, you just can't ignore it. So what happened, I had some people in my district ask me to meet with them. They had some really questionable case, but they had a lot of proof showing. So their past history, I could see why DHS was concerned about them. But when you get all of the proof that they had, that these kids were being abused by their mother, but then they come after the father with despite all the evidence and still leave the kids with the mother with massive evidence that the mother's abusing. So I was looking at that and put all that together I do packets and put them together. And that way it's not me saying it. It's like, here's the video. Here's the counselor's statement that says, here's this, here's that. Multiple videos, audios, those kind of things. Then I got involved with the Woolley case. And, at first, as a law enforcement officer, I'm always leaning towards that, it's becoming harder and harder too. But with that Woolley case, I just started looking at it, and I don't think anybody's really looked at it. And here's what I always say. Can I prove one way or the other? No, but I can prove there's no evidence to go forward. I can prove they're not guilty by the court. You know what I'm saying? They've never been found guilty. And if they have not been found guilty, then they're to be treated innocent. If you took their kid without having a hearing, so you did not have any probable cause, you pulled that kid out of there, they've never been found guilty, guess what? If you want to live in a state like that, I don't, because if they can do it to them, they can do it to you. And so my thing is if you got the evidence, trot it out here. I'll look. I've met with the sheriff's department. I've met with DHS. I've gotten the file on it. One of the things, I'll give you an example. This really was one thing that just really kind of got me started. The DHS come in that case and said, well, have you heard about the dog? I said, what are you talking about, dog? Well, have you heard about this dog? The dog had Vaseline on his penis. And I said, really? I said, okay. And so they pulled me aside. I said, I've investigated a lot of crimes, and I've investigated a lot of crimes about anything you want to investigate. And I said, I never remember any of us sitting around saying, did anybody check the dog's penis? Now, that's pretty tough to talk about, but that's just the way it is. And they say, now, JJ, I said, no, y'all think about what you're saying. So I had to come back and find out, what are y'all talking about? So they're accusing this couple of bestiality stuff. They don't say it, but that's what they're insinuating. Right. And so I go back and look, find out that what had happened, the dog had died the same day this baby died. Dog died the same day the baby died. Okay. Right. They sent the dog to the autopsy because it seemed strange. The autopsy, which apparently nobody at DHS goes back and get, which I went and did the work. It's called work. So I went and pulled the autopsy. The autopsy said that the dog had essential oils. I called the Woolies and say, why would this dog have essential oils on its, fur on his skin. They said we use that herbal medicine that you put a drip in and it vents out, and that comes out as an oil. And I know that's true because I use it some myself.
Yeah,
and
for ticks and fleas, for people who don't know. Yeah.
It comes out in a vape. They were doing it because the dog couldn't breathe. So they had some of that, that stuff make them breathe. And it was on. Okay. So it says essential oils. Now, they went from essential oils to Vaseline on the penis.
Yeah.
Nothing. So again, here's the deal. They're out there spreading these kind of, you talk about slander. You talk about harmful, spreading that kind of stuff with absolutely. If they would just took 5 minutes to go do what I did and pull it up, look at it, they could have found out. And in fact, there's some things in that make me question, okay, did anybody look at this? But what I'm saying is they don't have a case or they would have moved forward. They've arrested these people, put them 4 months in jail, dismissed the case, rearrested them. Now, if I rearrest somebody, you better bet I'm going to win the second time. I'm not going to arrest you again unless I've got massive case. I'm going to win. They arrest them. Guess what? They dismiss it. Don't have a case. Why is the DA there arresting people he doesn't have a case? When you start looking at their evidence compared, when you start looking at the how they hid certain things, our DA, why is our DA hiding, important facts that they're required by law to show? And that's interviews that they had because it didn't come out the way they wanted. So they re-interviewed and it come out the same thing and they hid that. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things, you start going, wow. Then you start getting into, okay, let me look a little deeper. Let me look a little deeper. And then you get into cases where you have absolute evidence that they are destroying, that they're falsifying. So again, a lot of these people, and we want to make sure that we include this. We got a lot of great workers at DHS. We need DHS. There is nobody trying to destroy DHS. What we're trying to do is fix it. It's broken, massively broken. We got to fix it. And so what I started doing is looking into a lot of these cases, started working with people to put the cases together. We now have 6 or 7 cases that we believe we can absolutely show everything that we're talking about. We presented that publicly. We're very transparent. I am very open on anything I'm doing. We presented that. They tried to stop us from presenting that. We had Appleseed working with us to write. They wrote a 350-page, maybe greater, a very comprehensive report talking about these acts in Tulsa where the workers at a detention center were having sex and physically abusing children, and that it appears that DHS knew this, OJA knew it, OCCY knew it, and did absolutely nothing about it. We have this facility at Greer where we have employees come forward. We have pictures of kids being stomped. You can see the prints on their faces. You can waterboarded. We got allegations of waterboarding. I talked to one of the
children.
Yes, I talked to one of the parents this week and Saturday. So I talked Saturday to one of the family members, and they say multiple times waterboarded, pictures, the whole 9 yards of the assault and stuff. Now we have employees come to sign an affidavit to this fact, but then the DA says, well, the witnesses won't be credible witnesses because they're mentally handicapped. Well, guess what? Some of them can write. Some of them, they may can testify, but they have employees that are ready to testify. So the employees will testify. Yet we don't see charges. Yet we know that DHS knew this, has allowed it. Now they're going back and correcting it because they're catching some heat. If you go back and look 20 years, we see the same people involved in this.
Yeah.
We see the same thing. This has been going on in Oklahoma. We're scratching the surface. I'm one guy. I'm working with 3 or 4 people. I will guarantee you we're scratching the surface. When you see the abuse that I'm seeing, we're scratching the surface. This thing needs to be opened up. I could go on unvalidated reports that I get of some massive things going on in Oklahoma. I try to stick to what I know and what I can prove. And so I believe we can prove these.
So let me interrupt you if you don't mind just 1 second, because we've got a comment on Rumble that took me back to something you and I were talking about before we went on this morning. He said, Helen says, I very much appreciate Representative JJ Humphrey. I've called his office twice to sign that petition on the meeting he had October 17th. You are going to send me a copy, send me the link to that petition. Can you send that to me so that I can get it up?
No, I got to explain on that because that's what I was on the phone before we got on.
Oh, okay.
So, and hey, I want to tell that listener, I appreciate you very much. Hang tight. We're going to get your signature.
She's a nurse. She said she's a nurse.
So what we've done, we filed a petition at the same time. We filed 2 grand juries because we were ignored by the governor, by the attorney general, by every leadership. Will not call for an OSBI investigation on children being beaten, waterboarded, and sexually abused. Now, what we did, because we couldn't get any response from them, we filed a grand jury petition in Oklahoma City. Same time we filed one in Tulsa. Tulsa responded in 2 days, and they said you didn't do this correctly. We changed it back and we refiled it. They had 2 days to respond. They said because that it was conflicting with a lot of your Tulsa, they named the DA up there in that grand jury. So they sent it to the Supreme Court to have it moved to Garfield County, which is Enid. Right. So they will move it up there to Enid. Now, that could be a good thing because if the people of Enid wanted to jump on board and file their own petition, we'll help you do that. We'll get you some people to show you how to do that. But that mental health facility that they will not file charges against is in Enid. And so, guys, if you're listening in Enid, you want to file a petition to join that, we got to get approved. We're waiting to be approved, and I think that will happen. I don't know how they'll deny us. Now, Oklahoma County, little different story. So we filed, and they said we didn't have to have a filing fee. They contacted the next day and say, nope, you do have to have a filing fee. We filed it. They have 4 days to respond. They've not responded. So, again, that would tend to think, okay, then we're in, but we got to push forward and make sure. So the reason that Tulsa denied it, we went back and fixed the same thing in Oklahoma City. So we didn't wait for them to deny it and say, here it is. We went back and fixed it, resubmitted it. So 4 days from the time we resubmitted that is today. So they have today, I think, to answer that. We will see if they don't answer it, how we're going to push their hand to get that answered. But we can't collect signatures. Anything we collect before it's approved, they would throw off. So that's why we're waiting, and that's why we haven't put up anything yet. But as soon as we get approved, we will start. Now, one of the other things, we're trying to work with grassroots. So we're trying to get grassroots involved to where when we do get approved, that they're going to help us go out and have petition drives. We're going to try to set up events where you can come, as well as get that on where you can do it from the internet and sign on. We'll have to see how to do that. So we do.
Okay. Okay. So they can sign it, but they can't sign it on the internet.
Well, and the problem is you have to be from Oklahoma County or Tulsa County right now. So here's another thing we're doing. We're working with others we're trying to go out through the entire state and get grand juries. And we're trying to show people, here's what we're doing. Go back to your county and do this so that we can have these grand juries all over the state. Now, I made an argument the other day. I think I'm right. If we get approved in Oklahoma County, if I have an ethical issue filed on me, guess where I get charged with? I get charged in Oklahoma County because my office is in Oklahoma County. So if I do an unethical act in Atoka and the DA is going to file on me, it's going to be the Oklahoma County DA file on me. I'm going to make that same argument. If we get approved in Oklahoma City, guess what? DHS headquarters is in Oklahoma City. Right. Anything that happens under DHS, I don't care if it's in Atoka, I don't care if it's Idabel, I don't care if it's out in Boise City, wherever, it's still under that office. I can make a strong argument that everything is included under that. So those are some of the things that we're going to have to argue out. We're going to have to see if I'm right on that. they're probably going to say I'm wrong. It's not a surprise. They said we were wrong on ordering an OSBI investigation, except I had lawyers and I can show you the statutes. I can show you the House rules. I can show you the OSBI's internet where every one of them have what I said. And yet they said, nope, you can't order, Humphrey, you're not entitled to order an investigation into this. So, if you go to the OSBI's webpage, it'll have 2 officers standing by a black car, and it'll say, here's the reasons we were created. 3 of those reasons were corruption of government, sexual abuse, and sexual abuse, and there's something child abuse, sexual abuse. Okay. So those are 3 of the reasons. There's other reasons like officer shooting and those kind of things. But 3 of those are included in the reasons they were created. We have 3 of those in ours. Then if you look at how to initiate on their webpage, one of them is a legislative committee with subpoena powers with the majority of their committee. Now, guess what? I'm chairman of the committee. I have subpoena powers. I have the majority of the committee signed, and yet our House said, we don't think you can do it. The OSBI, which is amazing. Why would the OSBI? Now, why are we going to split hairs on kids being abused? You know what I'm saying?
But JJ, stop just a second, because that's a good question. I'd like to explore that question just a minute, because you've asked it of yourself. What in the world is going on that our own government does not want to investigate this? The allegations, they don't want to investigate the charges. Please give me some kind of idea, because I have one, but I'd like to hear yours. Why?
Several. And again, let me just take it one step further. If you want to argue that I don't have the authority, you have the authority. Governor, you have the authority. AG, you have the authority. Speaker, you've got the authority. You can call a committee that can do their own investigation. There's all kinds of things they can do, and nobody's doing anything. I suspect that there are lots of money. I suspect there's lots of law firms associated with all of this child court and all of these things that are happening. I think there's one reason. If you want to go back and start studying, the next big thing that I'm probably going to dive off to and investigate is what we call universal child care. Anytime you see that word universal, I run backwards. If you see universal health care, guess what? It's socialism, communism. When I see there's a couple of keywords: sustainability, I run backwards. If I see that, if I see universal, I run backwards. So my understanding, and I hadn't had a chance to investigate this, but there's going to be huge money in everything I'm talking about. So I was told that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren come up with this universal child care under Biden, I believe. I'd have to look Obama or Biden. But again,
I think it was Obama, because I wrote about it, because the idea of universal child care makes me run backwards too. So I wrote it, and it was under Obama.
And that's why I threw that, because I wasn't sure. I think it probably was.
Yeah,
but right. Here's what's funny. There's four, one's not even a state, but there's 4 places that are doing this, to my understanding now. I think it was New York, Vermont, Washington, D.C., and the only all red, Oklahoma. Now, what is Oklahoma doing in that mix? What is happening if this is true? Now, I won't go back and verify it, but again, I'm just using that as an example. They're going to try to take out, so people understand what this is. This is the government taking over your child care, forcing every private, child care out of business by regulation so that they can indoctrinate your kids. And so it's a huge, huge money. And then if people are involved in, how does all these people who are pedophiles and who abuse children end up working in our DHS system? And again, we have right now proof that was happening in Tulsa. But we've also, since all this come out, I've had whistleblowers come forward at another detention center, give me allegations of at least 4 sexual allegations against the staff at that center and physical abuse One of those was an employee who was fired for trying to bring this forward. And so again, am I saying it's true? I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying it deserves an investigation, a real look at. And when you can't even get that with these type of allegations, massive allegations across the state, what is, and I suspect it's all about money. I suspect it's all about positions, people. And again, this is in our court system. It's not just DHS. You got to understand, we're not just looking. This is our court system. This is these child care systems. That's a big cabal set up. It's lawyers. It's making money off cases. It's them getting mad at you and taking your kid away because they don't like you, because you're going to stand up for your rights. And so they're going to put kids in places where they know they're being abused. Some sick people. That's some very, very sick people. And
well, a couple of things. We've got a guy who says, my wife is a public school teacher in Cleveland County, and we're fighting this stuff. So, I mean, we know that it's statewide. We absolutely know it. But again, let's go back to this idea. All you're asking, Representative Humphrey, all you're asking is for an investigation. You're not going in with the 6 guns drawn, trying to,
No.
Why is it that we're having such a hard time getting an investigation? Why does our governor not want this to happen? Why did you get blocked in the House? Why do you suspect? Because you're all for transparency, so are we. This stuff has got to come out into the light, because until people really understand how swampy and full of swamp garbage our state is, they're gonna, it's gonna be this, oh, well, Trump got elected, everything is fine. That's not gonna do it for us. We still have to out our own swamp creatures. Why is this happening?
Well, there's a lot of lies. I mean, when you look at our election this cycle, guess what? We're the only red state, completely red, everything. So people think, oh, well, we're red, so we're red. Well,
right.
Guess what? You're one of the most regulated states there are. Go check me out and see if I'm lying. We are crazy. We are blue regulated. We may be red, but we got a lot of them people who are in red offices that are pushing blue agendas. You know what I'm saying? They're pushing blue agendas. And if you think it's not a lie, guess what? Tune in to JJ4OK.com, JJ, the number 4OK.com. Watch my cartoons. We're going to start putting out cartoons on the stuff that they kill, that they won't pass, that they stop. We're going to start laughing at them and saying, if you're claiming to be red, let's show what you're really doing in the back alleys back here. And we're going to expose it. It's called Capitol Exposed. Jump on that. But exactly what we're talking about, I believe that we are seeing what we see in Donald Trump. It's called the deep state. Okay. And if you think the deep state just, exists in Washington, D.C., you're wrong. We have a deep state here. Now, I'm going to say something, and I'm for term limits. So nobody, do not misunderstand. I'm for term limits. Okay. I think we may have them a little short in Oklahoma. We might need to go to 16 or something like that. But what happened with term limits, but we can fix this. But all of these administrators, these bureaucrats, unelected bureaucrats who are around for 30 years and know how to play the system, guess what? They're playing our government. They don't answer. When you call over there and say, I want this, that's under investigation. You can't have it. Well, bull crap, I can't have it. I'm your executive manager. I can come into your executive staff. The hell I can't have it. I can have it. And for you to sit there and say that, but guess what? You got to have your leadership back you, and they will not back you on that, because guess what? They're in with them. And if you want to move higher, this is the crew that gets you higher. This is the crew that's related to all the lobbyists who are giving money for all the campaign stuff. So if you want to get in the clique, you got to get in. If you want to rise high in the clique, you got to get in. If you want to stay chairman, now, if you don't do that, you'll end up being chairman of corrections with maybe 2 bills getting in your committee, like poor old Humphrey. But I don't care. I didn't come up there to be a title. I come up there to do stuff. But that's why. That's the whole deal. There's this deep state running. There's all these lobbyists. Guess what? When you get done working over here as the director of this or the assistant director, where do you go to work? Oh, he didn't go to work for the DHS.
The broadband office, where you get paid multiple $100,000 a year. Yes, bingo.
And again, the broadband people will come over to the DHS lobbyists and they'll go over, oh no, we're not violating any laws by doing this. No, you're not. You're cutting the edge. That's true. But that's how it works, because they're going to end up going to work for this big group or that big group at $200,000 a year. And everybody knows that. When you're a politician, guess what? If you play right, you're going to end up on one of those. You're going to end up with, go look at my campaign contributions right now. I might have 4. Most I'll ever have in there is 12, 13,000. I got offered to go to Spain the other day and speak in Spain. I turned them down. I actually I said, I'd love to want to speak, but I'm going to make a video. It'll be a really classy video. I'll make a video and y'all let me speak by video, because I didn't want to get accused of, flying out there on somebody else's dollar and make it look like I'm trying not to do that. Again, I don't want to act like I'm perfect. But what I'm saying is I'm transparent. You can see what I got, and I will put it out there. And again, that's what we need. We need transparency in our government, and we ain't got it right now. And again, our government officials that are supposed to demand that are the reason we don't have it. I'm not going to blame it on unelected bureaucrats. It's elected people who ought to step up and who have the authority but will not use their authority because they don't want to rock the boat and they won't play good, nice politics. If you come up there and rock the boat, you're a troublemaker.
Well, and that's, I've found that the very same thing myself as well. And I think it's important that people don't quite, when we talk about the swamp and we talk about why you're not getting any place, and when I don't think they see it. And the bottom line is this, and just tell me if you agree with me. This is what I've seen myself personally. So you have an elected official. Let's just talk the pro tem of the Senate. The pro tem of the Senate has the opportunity to appoint numerous, they can appoint the chairman of the committees. They can appoint the secretary of the election board. They can appoint quite a number of things. So these appointments get made. And then not so much, let's just talk about the secretary of the election board, because that's a good starting place.
Yes.
So this person is appointed by the pro tem of the Senate to be the president of the Senate or the secretary of the Senate, and then also the head of the state election board. So the one pro tem appoints him, the next pro tem comes in, that appointment stays. There's no new appointment made by this incoming pro tem.
No, I understand what you're saying.
So that person stays. So then we have another pro tem come in, and that person stays. And this is the bottom line. This is where we get the swamp in Oklahoma. It's unelected bureaucrats that are in charge of things that never leave because nobody ever makes them leave. And so therefore they become entrenched. They decide they don't need to have any transparency. They are the be all end all. The whole thing's going to be run the way they want. And that's the end of it. They're not going to listen to other people. That's what we have. And there's this whole cover your ass, sorry, but it's true. Nobody wants to be transparent because nobody wants to say, oh my gosh, all of that was my fault. So they keep passing the buck and covering each other's butts until we have kids dying and being taken away from their families. And yet they still don't care because it's all about their personal power and what they look like, and they're simply not going to be the champions that you are, Representative Humphrey, and say, may not be perfect, but I'm darn well willing to understand that Oklahoma taxpayer dollars go to helping Oklahoma taxpayers. Not supporting me in another position, not getting me in with the lobbyists and the big corporation people so that I can get another job. But that's what it's mainly about. It's not about helping Oklahoma taxpayers. So that's, in my opinion, that's why you're getting the stiff arm, is because they don't want to come out and say that they've done anything wrong. They don't want it coming back to their agency. Nobody cares about taxpayers. They want your money, but they don't give a rat's behind about you. They only care about themselves and elevating themselves and having a job once they're out.
Well, I'm going to give you two examples. We're talking about the election secretary on one, and they just keep leaving him. If he was doing a great job, I wouldn't have a problem with that. If you're doing a great job, I'll stand up and say, we need to keep that person. Let's keep doing good. But when you are having issue after issue after issue, and then they come out and say, oh, we got some of the greatest elections. We're great. Well, bull crap. Let me show you a big problem right down here. Let me show you a recent problem where he lied. Let me show you where he got a bill passed that says you can't even go up there and get what ought to be open records, which is one of the most open things that should be transparent, is election. But guess what? In 2019, which is kind of coincidental, if it's my understanding, they go to a big deal put on by Dominion in South Dakota, and they do this little all group, nationwide, convention. And so he comes back, and we get these bills passed that say, he alone can tell you whether you have got anything. Now, that's not, and that passes on 19 right before the election fraud. That if people think coincidence, I don't believe in them. Okay. But again, with all of this, with what's happened recently in Cleveland County, big scandal down there going on involving that office. Again, why are we not stopping and going, let's look at this person. Why do we leave them? Now I'm going to go back to DHS. Okay. Now we come out with our report, Appleseed. And in that meantime, guess who gets resigned? The director of the Department of DHS, Deborah Shropshire, resigns about 2 weeks before we come out publicly with all this. She resigns, maybe even a week. It was 2 weeks, 1 week. She resigns. Now we're going to show you what the swamp looks like. So guess who? There's a guy over there named Carmel, I think, who used to work for the governor, who is now was over OJA, which is the Oklahoma Juvenile Affairs. Okay. Now, if you want to look at this Tulsa detention center where the feds come in and raided the Tulsa detention center, guys, listen to me. For the feds to come in and raid a detention center that is in Tulsa, so this is a cooperative thing, Tulsa, DHS, OJA, OCCY, all of them are over. For the feds to come in and raid that, you got to have some way powerful evidence, or they would not come in and raid that. For them to come in and do a search warrant, raid this facility, they've got a lot of stuff, or they wouldn't have done it. So here they come in. Now we get evidence showing that all of these agencies knew this was going on, covered it up, trying to cover it up, and did nothing. Okay. Now the DHS director resigns. Who do you think they put over DHS?
I don't remember his name, but help me out there.
Carmel. It's the guy that was over OJA. Now, let me ask you, if you are coming after, and we are saying all of these agencies knew this, did nothing on it, OJA was the agency they raided, why would you take the director of OJA and put him over the bigger DHS when he's one of the ones you should be looking at the hardest? And again, I don't dislike this guy. I'm not mad at this guy. You're not hearing me talk bad about Deborah. I like Deborah. I don't have anything opposed to Deborah. And what I want to do is go out and say, Deborah, did you know that children were being molested, and did you do absolutely nothing? And I can like you I liked many of the people I threw in jail. In fact, I'd hug their neck and try to help them change their behavior. And I'll go into penitentiaries. I want to fix penitentiaries where we actually address people's behavior, put them to work, make them start working and getting out and being productive citizens. I'm fine with that. But guess what? If they did something criminal, we got to hold them accountable. If these administrators know that children are being molested and do absolutely nothing, is that criminal? It is to me.
Yeah.
It is to me. And so again, you want to talk about the swamp? They just take one out. That person, I promise you, that resigned will be working for some big. That didn't hurt them. Okay, that was just another move. That was a lateral move across wherever they'll end up, and I can take you and show you every one of them.
Yeah,
that's a lateral move. Yeah. And then here comes this guy, governor's friend. Bam, we're slapped. And what changed? And go look at what he said. We always support any efforts to do anything that will help the state of Oklahoma. We support helping children, blah, 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 blah. And everything we issue. Now, this guy could ask for an investigation on his own. Anybody that has that much, if I was the director, guess what? I'd say, y'all come in. We want to clean. If there's something wrong, please come in. I will work with you to fix it. Come on in. I'll sign the stuff to bring you in. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's what a person of integrity would do. But we don't see that. We see these worthless statements of how we support everything and we want transparency, but no transparency.
Well, but that's all in the messaging, because people by and large really tend to believe. Most people aren't like us. They haven't seen what we've seen. They haven't seen the inner workings of government. They haven't seen the way these people work back and forth. They don't know. They don't have the level of skepticism that we have. And the people know this. And so what ends up happening is that they end up just thinking to themselves, oh, well, yeah, if they say that, then sure, that's what's going on. And the people in charge know this, and they know if they message one thing and they're not following up on the other side, nobody's going to come look at it. Nobody's going to pay attention to it. They're just going to believe what they say because, JJ, you know as well as I do, it's super hard to stay on top of this stuff and fight it and find out about it and tell your neighbor. And people just want to live their lives. They want to feed their cows. They don't really want to get down and dirty in the. I talk to people that are like, I don't do politics. I don't know how you can do that. Right? I mean, because they don't want to mess with it.
They're back to their country if they don't get off their duffs and start holding people. You better start holding people accountable. That's what this election, I hope that's what Donald Trump's fixing to do. Because if Donald Trump don't go walk in and start holding these people accountable, we've lost her. If all we do is, if he doesn't do that, then all we've done is a four-year set off, and we'll be right back in the same mess that we already, that we just about lost our country. I hope people recognize that. And again, our state is no different. And here's what I say. I wasn't called to Washington. I got so mad about 2 years ago, Jenny. I got so mad. I was watching all that on TV and all that, just getting, jumping up and screaming at the TV and everything else. And I finally come to this. God has not called me to Washington. Right now, I'm in Oklahoma City. And I decided that, there's an old saying in the Bible, and it says, before you go take the splinter out of your brother's eye, pull the log out of your own. So I decided to go logging. I decided to stay right here in Oklahoma and go logging. And I'm going to tell you something. You don't have to go very far out your back door. And there's a hell of a lot of mess right here in Oklahoma that we need to clean up. And we need to start with our court system. If we do not have a fair election, if we do not have a court system, then guess what? We don't have anything to recourse to when we find this. And this is what I know you're frustrated. I'm frustrated because you see all these endless investigations. And
I passed frustrated a long time ago, by the way.
It is frustrating. And that's why we're going to grand jury. We're going, hey, you know what? If we cannot get the court system, if we can't get the agencies, if we can't get the government, Governor Golly, man, come on, be the person I voted for. You know, and I'm going to give you an example of something that I see, and I don't know if you've seen this, but when you go out on the campaign trail, if you go out with all these elected officials, you know what they're out there saying? We're going to clean up government. We're going to fight for you. We're going to do all this, and government's Oklahoma. We're going to make sure. Well, then, guess what? The minute they get up there, you know who they're trying to buddy up with? People in charge. Because guess what? That's how you get your seat. You buddy up with people in charge. Well, if you were out there saying government was bad, then who is government and who's in charge? And why do you want to go up there and buddy up with people in charge when you were out there saying, oh, I'm going to change government? Well, if you're going to change government, you can't do it with you're going to have to call out the people in charge. And that's tough to do. That is tough to do when they pick, you know, who's going to get what campaign funds. When they pick, and I will tell you this, when your own government people will go find you an opponent. Now, they haven't done that to me, and I've been shocked. I don't know why they have not went out and got me an opponent. And I'm blessed and didn't have that. But I can tell you, first year I got up there, they went after, there was 18 of us in a group, and they went after probably 14 of them and took them out.
Yep. Yes, and they did. And that was one of your own representatives that did that too.
Oh, and it wasn't one; it was a whole group of them.
Well, it was, but there was one, yes, that was.
Well, they got the bag man,
and he's still there.
Yeah, they got the bag man that does the dirty work, but don't think that he is acting alone. I guarantee he's with the crew. And the deal is, what people need to understand: there's a whole consultant group. This is not done by one actor, because he's got to have people to run. They've got to have consultants. They got to get all this money in. And again, I'm telling you that, and you understand it 10 times better. In fact, I got to go to her. I got to go to Jenny to get that stuff explained to me. You know, so again, she knows it 10,000 times better. In fact, when I've listened to her, I look like a calf in a gate when you put that big deal up there. I go, dadgummit. Hold on, notes. You know, it's too complicated. You know what I'm saying? Most people will not stick with you. Understand it is complicated, but that's what's happening throughout our state. And that's what's happening in DHS. Because guess what? There are people, these are big, when we're talking about child care, you may not think so, big money. When you're talking about, you know, child custody, big money. When you're talking about all of these issues going on, whether it be food stamps or whether it be, you know, drug testing, whatever it is, it's huge money. And again, that means you got lawyers involved. That means you got companies involved. They're all lobbying and they're all going up there. And guess what? It's, oh, my good friend needs this bill. Oh, my good friend needs this. Oh, we're going to do this. Whenever they say whatever, you know, and then you go over and try. I just had a letter sent to me by one agency saying, we made an agreement with your house leadership that you no longer can get records because you released the non-public information. Well, my deal is, you're a public office. How did I release it? What did I release? They won't even tell me what I released. And so then you're going to have to come over and view. So I can go over to that agency, look at their stuff, but I can't copy it or anything else.
No.
And, you know, and then I've got to sign a non-disclosure saying I'm not going to talk about it. These are public records. I don't even have to be a state representative, but how dare them, you know, they're going to sit and tell me, a state representative, I can't have it when anybody in the state is entitled to it. It's public.
Okay, but here's another question that I need to ask you. We have an AG, we have an attorney general for the state. Mm-hmm. There has got to be something that our attorney general can do. Why is it that our attorney general is not even getting involved in this?
Here's the thing: the attorney general right now could order a multi-county that would solve all of this, multi-county grand jury. It would involve the whole state. We could bring these cases. We think that we already have cases made. So again, we're not going to say we're asking for an investigation. I've been investigating for 35 years. I know what it takes to take a case in front of a court, in front of a jury. I think we've already got 7 or 8 cases pre-made for them. Again, why would you not, with that kind of evidence, call on that? And if we get these 7, then that opens the door to all the rest of them. I'm telling you, we should go to 77 counties, have everybody that's got an issue come in and look at their case, because I believe it's that corrupt. And so again, he could do it in a heartbeat. Why would he not do it? And I don't know how many other things in front of him. Why would you not do, why would you not investigate rapes that are being covered up properly? Why would you not investigate whistleblowers properly? Why would you not with Appleseed? And here's what I'd say to the Attorney General. I hope he watches this. Here's what I would say. It's not JJ Humphrey saying it. Guess what? Appleseed put together a 350-page comprehensive report, and these are a group of lawyers and investigators who are really credible across the state, who have pretty good credibility. So why would you not listen to them? Why would you not go and look at our hearing that wasn't an interim study? It was an emergency hearing of the Criminal Justice and Corrections Committee. Go in and look at that and see what evidence we put in, and have a DHS worker coming forward. We have another guy that has tapes, documents, everything. We presented all of that. We had another person come in that has all of this. Why are you not going to pay attention to all of that and order a grand jury? When we're talking about, and here's the deal, nobody's questioning, did the Greer incident happen? That's the mental health incident, okay? That's at Enid. There's nobody question. I have not heard anybody question, did that happen? Because there's too much evidence to say it didn't happen. But then if it did happen, what are we doing? And I can tell you what we're doing right now is nothing. And if I'm looking, I think a person died up there after all of this. So we've now got a murder, possibly. I hadn't heard whether it's declared a murder, but I think it is. And again, what are you doing? What are you doing, AG? I mean, if you can't step up for children, and again, I will tell you, these people are going to run for governor. I think this is something we better mark down. I can tell you that if you don't want to protect the most vulnerable people, mentally health children, and you don't want to protect children who are being sexually abused in these facilities, these are kids that generally have been kicked around. That's why they're there. And then now they're going to be, what are we going to do? Make them worse? Yes. And so I just blow my mind. If I was going to run for governor, I can tell you I'd be on the right side of this issue. I'd done jumped up. And again, what do you got to lose? If I'm wrong, then come back and say JJ didn't know what he's talking about. But
and that's the point. It's an investigation.
Sure.
It's an investigation. Does the AG's office? Well, I know that they have investigators at the AG's office because the state election board was going to sic them on me. So yeah. I know they have them. So let's stop and think about that for a second. So because I was asking questions at the election board and they tell me that I need to be investigated by the AG's office and the DA's office, but yet I have a completely clean record on everything. Everybody knows everything about me. I mean, I think that's probably one thing my husband hates about me the most is everybody knows everything about me. So how is it then that we're doing the exact same thing in Oklahoma that so many conservatives have complained about the Obama-Biden administration doing? If you say anything and you're on the wrong side, they're going to do this or they're going to investigate you. We have the same kind of thing going on in Oklahoma, but then the investigations aren't getting done out of the AG's office for the things that really matter, where you can show that it's not right, that things are going wrong. JJ, what can we do? Because we don't all have the money to sue. I mean, I'm raising money for my lawsuit. I mean, you against the governor, against the government. How do you do this? How do you fight back against these people that steal your money from you by force and then use it to make sure that you're not protected by the government that your money is stolen from to give? How does this happen?
Well, first of all, you know, I feel fortunate that you and me have the ability to fight back because one, that when you're saying that there, a lot of people don't understand this. Money is one thing. And me and you don't have massive money, but we've been blessed better than others, and we have the ability to raise some money. I have lawyers that represent me for free because I help them get so many cases that they come in and help me when I'm fixing to file a lawsuit. I've got multiple things filed. So they help me out legally like that. I've got bondsmen already ready to get me out of jail if they try to put me in jail. And people say, now, JJ, you're crazy. No, I'm not crazy because guess what? Just like you, when you bring out something that people ought to applaud you and they ought to do their due diligence to say, let's investigate this. Is she right or wrong? No, what they do, they don't investigate it. They go after you, and they do that to make you shut up. What DHS does, DHS takes your kids. They threaten to take your kids. Yeah. They take you to court. They break you before you can, and it ain't just money break. Yeah. They break you. They break you because they got this hold. They're communists over your children. I will come in and I will take your children. I have that kind of power. You better shut up. I have strong, strong women that I would have never believed write me and say, JJ, just don't leave my case alone because if you get involved, they're going to come after me harder. I would have never believed that, but then I watch and I understand why. Because you're talking about their children. And again, that's the hold these people have. So here's what I'm going to tell you. I hope people are listening to this because you people out there who have God-blessed ability. And what I mean by that you're able to look, you may not be a lawyer, but you're able to keep up with this stuff. I joked about looking at what Jenny's got. I can keep up with what Jenny's got, but I'm going to tell you something. Now, I'm not joking on this. It's hard to keep up. You got to understand. You got to be focused on, and you kind of got to have to know the system a little bit. We need people who have the ability to step in, who they can't go after, that you're not at risk, to step in and help these people, whether it's financially, whether it's go to court with them, to look at their cases. We need a group of grassroots people. And guess what? We're working on that. Yeah. We now have worked with grassroots. I love grassroots, by the way. I love them. Not just election stuff. This is taking our state back. Here's a place. This ain't about elections. This is about doing what's right, building families, reuniting families, which is what DHS is supposed to be doing, and they don't. And so, again, that's one of the things I would encourage people who are not in the trenches to get involved, help us out. We're going to get these grand juries. We're going to show you how to get those in your own counties. We're going to need people like grassroots, so we're working with that. I think that we have shown that we have the ability to. Grassroots is all of a sudden when you see Kevin Wallace, $1.2 million spent, and he gets beat, guess what? You have a voice. It's time to use that voice. It's time to go to the Capitol and talk to those people who are going to be the pro tem, who would never listen to you, who keep appointing that guy, It is time that we go up there and say, you better straighten up or you're going to lose your job, because guess what? The last pro tem, the pro tem elect, he lost his job. And guess what? He got beat with $500,000, and a guy with about 29,000 beat him. The guy that beat him, what got him beat? It's the people got him beat. Grassroots people got him beat. It's time us grassroots people. Now, they say we're crazy. They say we're radical. And I'll say, you damn right. I'm crazy. I'm radical. And I'm just crazy enough to come up there and say, hey, it is time y'all start acting. Excuse French. I get a little excited. I shouldn't talk like that. But here's the deal. It's time we go to the Capitol building and tell them y'all work for us. And it's time you do your job. And that right over there, hey, governor, speaker, and listen, I'm from the same hometown as Speaker. I've never tried to go out against Speaker. I know it's family. I love him. And I say that sincerely. I love all of them. I'm not mad at them. I love still. But here's the deal. When children are being molested, you won't do anything, I'll call you out on it. It's time we stand up.
Well, but I think that's the thing. And I'm gonna jump in right there. So you don't have to dislike people in order to make them do what they're supposed to be doing. And I'll give you a really great example. So way back in the day in 2010, we elected a Republican for the first time in a long time for the Secretary of Education in Oklahoma, basically. And she was a Republican. I had actually worked under her. She had a charter school, and I was, I thought this was going to be the greatest thing ever. I literally sat there and watched the woman take money from the federal government and try to implement every single one of Obama's education reforms. As a Republican, she was elected to do something different other than to do what we were doing before, which was multiple terms of Sandy Garrett, who was a Democrat, who just basically did, everything that was the blueprint for the federal government. We've got to stop taking federal funds, and we've got to stop. Our governor, he loves federal funds. I mean, loves them. He's taken them for all kinds of things, lots of green initiatives, lots of all kinds of different things, and then turns around. That money comes with strings, and money is for the love of money, right? That's the biggest problem. That's what, was said in the Bible. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. And all of this stuff can be found in money. Who is acting how at the Capitol? It's all about money, just like you said, Wallace, and $1 million to try to keep him in that seat. Hold on one second. We've got a comment here. We need to wreck this system. This girl says, we need to wreck the system and reunite families, which never should have been ripped apart in the first place. And I don't think people are the root of all evil. I tend to think that the devil is the root of all evil, and people just, go take the easy road. But I keep trying to say over and over again, if we don't understand the forces that are at play here, and President Trump can't fix the forces that are at play in Oklahoma. Only we can fix those things. And I think probably, I wondered what happened there. Okay, sorry, sir. I guess what I want you to give me is I want you to give everybody who's watching this morning, give us an idea of the best way to get an investigation for DHS. Is it us all writing letters to the AG? What is the best way to get this done? Because I'm seriously considering getting money together to do billboards that basically say, get the AG to investigate DHS. I mean,
I think a letter campaign would be a great thing. He needs to understand he's getting ready to run for governor. I hear if he's going to run for governor, he needs to understand that the people of Oklahoma, this is important. And I don't go anywhere, Jenny. I don't go anywhere that people don't walk up to me and go, "Give him hell, Humphrey," or thank you for what you're doing with DHS, or thank you for what you're doing with the prison, or thank you for what you're doing with OMMA. Everybody is sick of this. They're ready for somebody to step in and try to change this. But we got to have the people at the top. And I think a letter campaign would be great. I do want to say this. I want to say this so that people understand. I'm trying to get people to understand what's going on with DHS, but I'm going to use an example.
Okay.
If you were to look at the last state superintendent that we had, Epic was charged. The people who run Epic was charged with about $55 million, I think, of investment. There is no way in God's green earth that they could have done that without somebody from the state side approving all that. Yet that person, I always affectionately call her Joyless Hofschuster, could approve it. Okay, it had to be approved. Now, I showed numerous things whether it be if you want to go down there to Shawnee and look at what's going on in Shawnee with their superintendent and why nothing's being done on that under her. And guess what? So if you want to look at closing schools illegally, all kinds of stuff, I put all kinds of stuff out there. Now, you know who goes after our current state superintendent? Who's after him like nobody's business? I tell you who it is. It's the Republican Party. It ain't the Democrats. It's the Republican Party that's nailing him. So again, House leadership has investigated, subpoenaed, done all of this, yet they're getting subpoenas on him for nothing. I mean, for how many people did you hire? Is your second-hand guy working? You know, now I come in with request. Hey, we got kids being waterboarded. Hey, we got kids being beaten, mental health kids. We got kids in detention centers that are being raped. Can I have a subpoena? No. Can we get an investigation? No. But guess what? We'll turn around and investigate Ryan Walters. And get this, somewhere around in June, Mark McBride went out on Channel 9, if I'm not mistaken. Go look me up. And he even said, well, if Ryan wasn't planning on running for governor, he probably wouldn't be investigated like this. Well, so what you're doing is weaponizing your abilities to subpoena and investigate to stop him, but you won't even do anything to stop children. Now, that's where we're at. And that's not the Democrat Party. You can't blame that on the Democrat Party. This is red Oklahoma. This is the House going after your Republican. Now, again, has Ryan done some things that I personally don't like? Yes. But I will tell you, he's done a lot of things I do like. And again, he hasn't done anything that I personally think warrant investigation. But if they want investigating, you know what, Jenny? That's why we're there. Investigating. See if he did something wrong. That's your job. But then why will you do that on him? You go on a witch hunt on him, and I bring you absolute piles of evidence, and you will not even approve anything. Now that is what the people of state Oklahoma need to hear, and they need to go, what is going on? And me and you can speculate what's going on. I got a theory that there's lobbyists and money and bureaucrats.
I don't think it's a theory, JJ.
No, it's more than a theory. It's more than a theory. But here's the deal.
Theoretical.
We need to investigate, though, and get down to, just like on that money stuff that we're talking about, spending $1.2 million. Where did $1.2 million come from? Yeah. And let me tell you something. They're not going to spend $1.2 million and not expect something back on the return, okay? That money is not coming in just because we love you and you're such a great person. That's if people believe that, I've got some property down here I'd like to sell.
Well, that's why it's called lobbying.
Right.
The definition of lobbying is to create influence. I mean, so, and if you're going to create influence by giving money, that's one of the best ways to do it. So Michael had to get off because his internet, it's probably got something to do with the rain, I would imagine, but his internet is not working. So he had to get off this morning, but he did want me to ask you because, and I hadn't gotten to the question. How much federal money is involved here? Do you know? I mean, are there grants? Because DHS has lots of federal funding. It's like the stupid Department of Education, Anyway, the point of the matter is, I would imagine there's a lot of federal funding coming in here. Do you suspect that has something to do with it? Or is that,
Well, if you watch one of the things that Trump is saying that he's going to do on some of his first day is to stop the child mutilation and all the money that's going into this transgender healthcare, or they always put healthcare behind it. They've got a name for it, transitional healthcare or something like that. So all that big money is coming to Oklahoma, whether it's coming into our school system, whether it's coming into our DHS system. And that money is coming in the DHS system. So that's one block of money. They have other monies that are tied to if you have so many people on Sooner Care. So we're incentivized to keep so many people on sooner care.
Yeah.
We're incentivized to make sure that you have so many people in child custody courts. You're incentivized to make sure that you have what child support issues and all of these things is my understanding. Now, again, I'm looking into so many things that I can't dive into everyone, but I've looked into this and it is mind-boggling. But we need people to come in and just drill down right there and say how much federal. And again, I just said if you get $1.2 million, guess what? You're not getting that for nothing. And if you get all of this federal funding, guess what? There's strings attached to it. You've got to meet certain criteria to get that money, and that's what's happening.
Right. So let's even make this a little. Stephanie says we need the mad as hell video.
I am mad as hell.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's very true. So we talked about this during COVID. We got federal money to incentivize hospitals to give out remdesivir or put people on breathing apparatus.
Yeah,
whatever it was. So it's the same thing. The federal government has a plan, and then they incentivize the state to follow the plan by giving them money.
Yeah, they got a protocol. It's called a protocol. So you got to get this, you get this. And that's what they're doing, whether it's COVID, whether it's DHS. And again, that's what our government is supposed to be watching. We have committees set up for. Here's what's funny. Governor Stitt, not very long ago, went in and created a task force. I love when they say
He's created many a task force. Which one are you referring?
Yeah, so that means worthless. You know what I'm saying? So he created the DHS task force. Now, here's what's funny. Who do you think they put on the DHS task force?
People in DHS, just like the election task force that he created, which just put all of the people in Oklahoma elections on the task force.
And the people who are the problem, who created the problem, and who's going to say there is no problem? Well, yeah, there's a problem if you have, I mean, how many hearings have we had and how many people have we trotted out? And here's what's funny. So we were going to have a hearing last year. So me, Jet, and Dana Perino, we were going to have this hearing. And guess what? We were told you can't have the hearing. And they kicked us out. So I always like to get kicked out. I quite enjoy getting kicked out. So I was going to go across the street, have a hearing. Well, once we got the one across the street, they said, no, y'all can come back. So we have a hearing across the street, but they won't let us use any of the video equipment and all of that kind of stuff. So, and then we had two hearings. And on the second hearing, I went and got one in the house that just in case the house didn't know what I was doing, just in case we wouldn't be allowed to have that. That's the kind of games going on that you can't even display. I don't know if you remember Dr. Frank, when Dr. Frank was going on with all the election fraud and all that. Yeah. We had him come speak at the Capitol. The Senate had it scheduled. Guess what? They disallowed them. I ran over and got a room, didn't tell them what I was doing for, and we had that hearing. But probably if they knew what we was having it for, I always just go in there and say, I need a room, But again, that's the kind. What are you scared of? If you disagree with him, me and you can disagree. We disagree on stuff. And both of us are pretty hard-headed and we'll argue good. But guess what? If you agree with me all the time, I'm going to be scared of you, okay? Because I'm wrong.
Not me. You better agree with me all the time.
You're right. You're right all the time. I'm wrong occasionally. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that. My wife loves me all the time. But here's the thing. We ought to be able to have an open, frank discussion.
Yes.
Even if we disagree, when we get done, I'll buy you lunch. Okay. But that's the problem when they start censoring. And this is not Democrat. I want everybody to understand. You know what? Half of my stuff that I write does not get out to the public because the House media censors it. I wrote a deal on the when we passed the 10 Commandments, when they wouldn't let us run 10 Commandments. We tried to run 10 Commandments 2 or 3 times. Our own Republican Party stopped that. Louisiana passes it, and then I come out and say, hey, Louisiana shouldn't stand by themselves. We did this. I wrote an op-ed on that. You know what? They would not let me run that because they said it made leadership look bad. And I said, well, no, it does make leadership look bad because they did bad. But am I lying? Am I lying about one issue in here? No, you're not lying, but we're not going to run it because it's against leadership. So is the media up there to protect leadership, or is the media up there to report? And I'm an elected official. They're elected official. Why is theirs more powerful? Why should they protect them and not protect me? You know, why should I? So you see what I'm saying? That they censor everything that you're doing. And just like on this DHS deal, how many people out there would know it if our outside media didn't pick it up? And a lot of people, I will tell you this, Oklahoma media has been decent to me. Now, they don't agree with me. They know I'm radical, but they at least let me get my word out there, and they do let me speak.
Well, Fresh Mike says we got to stop with this. They won't let us. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. And then he also said, then you release it on your social media or have another source get it out. And so I think this is a good time to mention that you have a podcast that you do sometimes. I don't think it's regular, right?
No, it's regular.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. So we do. Actually, I do one on Friday. I'll do one at 12 today on DOC. So we do one every week on DOC. That's called OCP with Bobby Cleveland. So it's not mine, but I'm on there every week with him. So OCP, if you're interested in the prisons, what's going on today, we're showing how the director went and spent he came out and said, I only spent $5,000 on travel. We got him showing it was 30-something thousand. So he's not telling the truth. Again, we got where they're griping about privatization, but they're privatizing everything behind the scenes. So we're going to go on that. All the murders, all the rapes, we're going to report all that. But then I do Elephant in the Room on Sunday afternoon at 3:00. That's where we talk about all the stuff we're talking about. What nobody else will talk about, we're trying to talk about. And then if you want to pull up JJ4OK.com, we're doing a new, and we're working out the kinks on that. So we're doing an AI automated cartoon where we're going to make little short cartoon clips on the stuff that nobody else will get out. So we are trying to get out the word. We're trying to do that. Come on with you and get the word out and do other things. So
Facebook does not like us today. It's not letting anybody's name on, and then it just wouldn't let me put JJ4OK.com come up either. So we'll have to figure out what's going on here.
Facebook never has put me, my brother, who's more radical than I am, they put him in Facebook jail all the time. So they stick him in Facebook jail. I have never ever been in Facebook jail ever. But now here's what's funny. I've never even got one of those deals like, hey, you better watch out, but I have disappeared for 3 weeks at a time.
Well, they do that to me a lot.
Yeah.
They just disappear me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to need to wrap up because it's 1:18, and Amber says, because you can't see who it is. She said, this is Amber Evans, and I appreciate you, JJ, and Jenny and Michael. Because they won't let us see their names for whatever reason. But I wanted to get to one thing before we leave, because it's a controversial topic. And I promised somebody had a question about it up here. And so let's just touch on it briefly. It's the windmill issue. So when Oklahoma Voice wrote an article about it, and some nameless, faceless Facebook user asked about this, and you and I have had a discussion about it. And do you have anything that you want? Because I'm not a windmill person, and I want them to go away.
Well, I understand where you're at, and here's what. Let me make some things clear. First of all, I am a private property owner person. Now, I'm for private property ownership as long as it does not affect the neighbor. If you're doing something that is harmful to the neighbor, as long as it doesn't affect the economy of that community, I think there's things you have to look that go beyond your private. So your right stop at my nose. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, yeah.
You have to understand that. Second, I want to say I think the windmills are ugly as hell. I think they're ugly. I don't like them. However, if you have them on your property at $30,000 a tower, they get prettier. They do get prettier. But at the end of the day, the question is, do they affect the economy? Are they actually killing birds? Have you looked at where they put them in the ocean and whales are dying and things like that? So it appears like they're having some more medical issue. So again, does the community have a right to come out and get against these? I'm always for the community having a discussion. I just don't know if there's any way that you can stop a private ownership from going in there. It becomes more difficult. However, when the community becomes so enraged, a lot of people will back off that, and a lot of the companies will back off that. Yep. And there's a lot goes into that getting there. Now, the other thing is solar. I'm not quite, and just for up front, I am looking at possible solar. I hadn't signed anything. It's really my mom. They made it out to be me. It's really my mom's property that we're looking at, but they have now included about 130 acres of mine that they're looking at. Hadn't signed the contracts. We're looking into a lot of things. But for me, I've researched solar. The only thing that I don't like solar is the outside foreign influence. I don't think solar, you can't see it. It doesn't, the beautifications, what I look at the harmful effects, I don't see as much on that. In fact, I don't see none, to tell you the truth. And I've researched it pretty good. But at the end of the day, I looked into the foreign ownership. Guess what? If every utility we got has foreign ownership. So again, what I would look at on those is we need to pass a bill to say we identify people as hostile, China, Iran, those kind of things, and keep them out of our utilities. But as far as OG&E and a lot of these companies operating on open market, you know what I'm saying? So we have foreign investment. I think that we have to look at that may need to be limited. But again, I don't like windmills. I'll go on record saying I don't like windmills. I have called for companies and introduced them to people that have big land. And when I introduce them, I'll say, hey, I don't like these. These are ugly, but I think this is your choice to make and not my choice. And I connect them. And I've gotten out of that. And I haven't tried to promote anything like that because I don't feel like it's my job. So again, I think if you're a community, and I'll give you an example right now around Eufaula.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that too. Can you transition into that then?
Yeah. So Eufaula, and this is where I'm talking about. Is that going to affect your economy? If you
now tell people what it is, because they're not going to want to. Yeah. They're not going to know what that is.
It's looking at putting windmills, and you have that big lake up there, and you have a community that mainly is tourism, lake tourism. It's year round. It is people build cabins up there, and they've got it to where you can build houses and all of that on the lake. So if you come in and put windmills, is that going to have an adverse effect on your economy there? And I think that's a very legitimate discussion, I think, as a community. But here's the question. Can you pass something that says me as a private landowner can't put something on my, because you don't have it zoned, you don't have anything, so it becomes very difficult. But I do believe that the people ought to have a discussion. They ought to invite the companies in there and have those discussions. And I think they ought to try to protect. And if it is something adverse to the community, then they need to look for. You and me both are like this. We don't take no for an answer. We go look and we go dig and we try to find a way to stop things that we don't think are appropriate. And guess what? If that community can look and see that that's going to be adverse to their community, dang right, they ought to jump up and try to stop it. And I think they are having, what I was told the other night, they had a huge meeting and they had a big turnout.
Yes, they did. And Fresh Mike asks, can I put a meth lab on my private property? Which, and the point is, you know, there are certain things that you can do with your private property, but then even though that may not directly affect your neighbor, it will somehow affect your neighbor. And I can tell you that for a fact, because the house that I'm living in was a meth lab for a while. And what ended up happening is the people around who lived around here were so happy when they got kicked out of it. And we came in and it was repossessed and bought it, because there were people that were coming that were going to the neighbors and robbing them, right, you know, to get money to come here. So it absolutely it may not seem like, oh gosh. And then Robert says, right, can I put a nuclear power plant farm on my private property? And I think before we get into a huge, and yes, wasn't there a law passed about foreign entities being allowed to own property in Oklahoma? Maybe that needs to go a step further. Why isn't the governor kicked the foreign owners like CCP off our over 300,000 acres? And that's very true. But again, that goes back, what Amber's saying is that goes back to what you and I have talked about from the beginning of this podcast today, which is there's something wrong, and you tell people there's something wrong, and you take what's wrong to the right people, and they say, meh. Right. That's wrong. I mean, where is justice? What has happened to our justice system? Why can we not get it? And again, it goes back to the whole Biden Obama philosophy of, if I like you, you don't have to follow the law. If I don't like you, you do have to follow the law. That's crazy. And yet we're doing that exact same thing here in Oklahoma.
Well, the windmills are not illegal unless you make them illegal. So that's what we're talking about. But you have to say, are they harmful to the community? And if they are, there needs to be a mechanism to say, and that's where we're at, the majority. So your rights end at my nose. And if you're doing something that affects me, then I have a right to speak out. Now, meth house, easy to solve. The law ought to be doing something to fix that problem. And yes, that's going to economically, you look at places where they allow drugs and watch the community just
San
go,
Francisco, hello.
But again, I can make the same argument if you want to look at and here's what's funny. I can make a better argument for this than I can against windmills. If you want to look at casinos and you want to look at what happens when you put in a casino, and you want to look at the bad checks, you want to look at the prostitution, you want to look at the crime, and are you making enough money off of that back in the community to pay for that crime? And then how do you pay for crime if your kid's one of the ones who get caught up on drugs and stuff? So again, this is a conversation that's pretty complex. Where do you've got to get some balance. I'm for private rights, but again, I think private rights, as long as my rights don't affect you, the economy, those kind of things, that's what we have to have a discussion. But we ought to be able to have that discussion.
Well, and I would agree with that. I believe that we ought to have that discussion. Mike says, if we can prove the money from the wind goes to the CCP, can we shut it down? I think that's a fair question.
I've actually got a couple of bills that I filed so many that I can't do all of them, and I'm trying to farm them out. But I think I filed one to say in 2 years they have to be out. Also, I've asked the AG to look at the utility, come up with a way to identify what we say is hostile players, China, Iran, the people. I'm not so much on Denmark. If Denmark's in there, England's in there, okay. But
then that's picking and choosing, JJ. You just have to say no, period.
Well, but if you want to do that right now and you say no, period, I hope that me and you can speak on walkie-talkie, because we won't have any electric to run here. If we want to do that, me and you will be sitting here podcasting buck naked probably, because most of our codes.
Not me.
China, I'm down with it. I got a little scratch up in fixing fence. But here's the deal. You see what I'm saying? I get what you're saying, but we have so much foreign ownership. I hope Trump comes back in and brings production back to America, whether it be our medicine, clothes, shoes, everything.
Well, there are things he has to do, and that is bring the manufacturing back.
Sure.
At whatever we need to do to bring the manufacturing back. But then the other thing that he's got to do is kick out all the illegal people who have been taking jobs. And then the third thing he's got to do is quit giving people money to sit around and not work. See, that would solve all of our problems. But let's go back. We have one question. Not that one. Hold on just a second. Okay, here from Max. He wants to know if you'll go after OK apps. I'm not sure what that is.
What is OK apps? I don't know.
Can you tell us, Max, what that is? And Mike says we're not talking about goods created overseas and then shipped and sold here. That's correct. We want them to be made here.
Yeah, I agree.
So
But
Amber,
you
while
have-
we're waiting on Max to answer what OKAPS, adult protection services.
Oh,
That's what he's saying. He's asking if you're going to go against adult protection services. Thank you, Max.
Max, when we did our press conference this last time on the grand jury, one of the cases that we had in there was a guy that is being very, very wrongfully done over his mother. They have their own house. They're making the mom live in a nursing home. She wants to come home because DHS says we don't like it there. Well, who's DHS say that? You know, if there's something that mom is in absolutely danger, she is not. They said her house was too cluttered. He cleaned it up. They still say no. So who are they to tell me what's, you know, that's government overreach. That's, again, communism. You know what?
Right.
Some families are cleaner than other families. That's none of the government's business unless it is an absolute harm to somebody. And again, dirtiness. Now, if there's needles and you know what I'm saying, that kind of stuff, drugs all over the place, and we're talking about small kids, all right. Adults, you know, and again, if he was beating his mother, absolutely. That's why adult services is there. But they've just now started. Not just now, for a while, DHS has become, we are the authorities. We will tell you what is, and they've left the law behind, and now it's just become because we say so. And
authoritarian.
Yes, and they walk into the courts, and the courts listen to everything they say, and this guy don't have the money to fight them. And so, again, it's the same thing. It's just a different agency, a division under the same group, but it's the same thing. And, yes, we are trying to look at those as well. And so absolutely, we're going to look into the adult services and absolutely child custody hearings, those kind of things, as well as these detention centers and state-run facilities. All of those are on the table.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. We're about an hour and 30 minutes here. Let's close out for the day. If we write letters, if we get a letter writing campaign going and we send them to the AG's office, we just are telling them that we want them to investigate Oklahoma DHS and to work with you to do that, correct?
Absolutely. And I don't think one of the things they get so bad at me, because guess what? I go in there and tell them all the time. If you listen to my interview, Governor, I love you. I love you, Governor. I voted for you. I campaigned for you. Do your job, Governor. That's not wrong. Don't be hateful. Just tell them we think there's enough evidence to support an investigation. These are children. These are the vulnerable people in our community, the elderly and the children. Please do your job. Please help JJ get an investigation on the Department of Human Services, include OJA and OCCY. OJA is Oklahoma Juvenile Affairs. OCCY is the Oklahoma Commission of Children and Youth. And
what about like Max said, what about, what was the other? OCAPS.
Yeah, that's under DHS. If we get
it is.
Yes. So that is a agency. So you have child welfare and the elderly agency, elderly services under that. So we want all of that included. But I think if we just say DHS, we can look at those. And what I'm wanting them to do is look at case by case.
Yeah.
Somebody, and listen, man, we got a lot of cases that are right and that something needed to be done, but their goal needs to be reunification. And the last option ought to be taking these kids. We're looking at the abuse in foster care. They're using that to get kids to people they want, money, all of these kind of things. All of it needs to be looked at.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm going to say this because I thoroughly mean it. I appreciate so much your willingness to fight these issues for people that don't have the ability to fight them for themselves. And I'm going to go a little bit further and say this. for people who are listening that don't quite understand, you are actually the epitome of what a state representative should be, because you are helping the people to gain their freedom. That's what you're doing. You're trying to protect Oklahomans. You're not trying to protect special interests here. You're not trying to protect lobbyists, which so many in our capital are doing. And if you don't believe me, you can always go to my dark money presentation or see the things that we put together on, for example, Kyle Hilbert. There's a one that we just did on Kyle Hilbert versus Representative Gann, who is running for Speaker of the House. And I hope that you would talk to your representative about voting for Representative Gann for Speaker of the House after you've heard this today. And Amber says, yes, JJ is amazing. So thank you for doing what you're doing. And I'm just sick that you're not getting anywhere with it. And that's part of the reason why we wanted you on the show today. Obviously, people are upset about this. Obviously.
We're going to get there. And I want to say thank you to, man, the people that work with you and you that are not elected, but are just taking it. Grassroots people is who I call all y'all. I call us grassroots people. I include myself in there because I am excited. I think we're going to take government back. I think we're going to turn around less government, more local government. That's what Republicans say, but they never do. And again, the money is the key. And again, to be able to have transparent conversations like we're having and not get mad and just, hey, here's where we're at. We're not going to agree on everything. But you know what? I find myself, and I will tell you this, Jenny, and this is the honest truth. If I disagree with you, you're one of the, there are some people in this state that if I find myself disagreeing with you, I have to go back and recheck what I'm thinking because me and you agree so much on stuff that if we disagree, I have to go check my stance and go, why is it? And be able to articulate. And I can do that most, and again, we don't have to agree. But that's what I love about you. You're transparent. You're out there. You're a voice. And we're taking the charge. We're going to win. We're going to win.
Thank you. I believe you. And that's biblical too, right? I mean, when everybody says one thing and you're not quite on that spot, it is biblical to just kind of, review. So, and I do appreciate your willingness on that too. And honestly, you're very transparent. I've never been in a situation where I thought you weren't, even when we don't agree, like on the solar thing. And I mean, you're very transparent. And we're not always going to agree, but the transparency is the important part. And I think people would agree that what we're missing right now in Oklahoma government more than anything is transparency. And I do believe with the changes that we made in the primaries this year, things are going to be very different, but only if we get out there and make them different and get behind JJ and some of the other guys down there who are really trying to work for Oklahomans and do the right thing, not special interests, but Oklahoma taxpayers who are getting screwed over by all the crap that the special interests are shoving down our throat through our own representatives.
We made a great start. We got to keep gas on. We got to keep mashing the gas.
Right.
This last election, the judges, we got one, but I'll tell you what, them other two and all the rest of them, I guarantee they hurt us. They hurt us. So
Mike wants to know, are you working with any other representatives so that we can follow them as well?
I work real closely with David Harden is a really good one. Danny Williams is really, really good one. Kevin West, awesome. We got a bunch of newly elected people that I'm already.
Jim Shaw will be great.
Yeah, I'm finding myself aligned with.
Molly Jenkins will be great.
Absolutely. And again, the girl down at Duncan, Stacy, I think it's going to be good. I'll tell you, there's a guy that just got elected at Newcastle, Wilkes. Who it's like looking in a mirror, I don't know. I just barely met him, but I'm just laughing going, oh, you go make some friends up here. Cause he's just, this is how it is. This is who I am. I don't care who agrees. I'm like, I love you already, So yeah.
Well, but that's gotta be the way we do it.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I like it. If you disagree with me, I respect you. If you have the guts to stand up and say,
but don't shut me down.
No. But here's the deal, and this is one of the reasons I love you, because guess what? You can't. Well, I'm serious.
You
man.
love everybody, JJ.
I do love you, but here's the thing. What I love about you is if you are on my opposite, it's not because I said so.
Yeah.
It's because you go, okay, JJ, did you know this? Did you know this? Did you know this? What about this? What about this? And then I come back and go, yeah, but here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at. Now, we may not reach an agreement, but we both are not being stupid just because I said so. Because I'm
exactly. No, and we probably learned something from each other doing it. So that's
absolutely. I'm going to go back and here's what's funny. People don't think this. I have, when people are like that, gone back and checked and go, hold on, I'm on the wrong side. Yeah. And if I am, you know what? I tell people all the time, I had no problem coming up. I was wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll get up and say so. I like people who can say, I was wrong. I've learned this and I'm changing my course, That's just being a good, solid person. Anybody thinks they're never wrong and can't admit that they're wrong or change because they've learned something is stupid.
Well, they're not. I was going to say they're irredeemable, but that's not true. Jesus redeems everybody. But I just mean people who cannot see that somebody else may have a point is not helpful. I mean, we're not going to get anywhere with those kinds of people. Right. And when we have them as representation for us, we need to remove them because the whole idea behind you being a representative, and that's even the case for a senator. I'm talking about somebody who represents us, the people, we the people in our state capital. If you have all the answers, we don't need you there because we're the ones with all the answers. You're just relaying those answers. That's your job.
Yeah, representative means that I go up and represent the will of the people.
Correct.
Their will. And you got to get out in the people to learn their will, listen to them. And again, I do want to say that, yes, I do work with a lot of senators as well. So it's not just representatives, but Jett, Prino, Devers, David Bullard, so some of those guys, Hamilton over there at Pittsburgh County. So there's quite a few of those senators that I work with, and I surely didn't name all the representatives I work with, but I am excited. I am excited about the new crew that we got up. I think they're going to be independent thinkers. That's what we need.
I agree 100%. Well, JJ, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. You usually crack me up and teach me something all at the same time. And that's what I need. So that's what everybody needs, if you ask me. So
we need to have a little fun. Yes. All of this, we can still love each other and we can still get along and we can, but that's
right. But we have to speak up, and that's what we all have to do. So
yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us today, JJ. I'm sorry Michael wasn't here but he was with you in spirit. So I'm sorry that his internet went out on us today, but thank you again so much. And please keep in touch and let me know, because I'll release anything that you need me to do through either our blog or also the newsletter that goes out every week on Monday as well. So please keep in touch. Okay.
I will do it. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
You too. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. That was a great show. I just think JJ is the best for his just ability to be transparent. But I got to tell you, over and over again, we talked about the same thing. What's going on in our state has got to be fixed. We can't not fix it. It's got to be fixed. So hang in there. Just because Trump's elected isn't going to fix everything that's under our feet. We've got to do that. So just to let you know, next week on Wednesday, we're going to have a whole show about the threats to homeschool. And it's really a sad thing. But when we got school choice in Oklahoma, it did pose a threat, a significant threat in some areas to homeschooling. And if you're not familiar with homeschooling, Oklahoma has by far the most free homeschool, that we don't have any regulations. I mean, there are literally people who come here from other states. My neighbor came here from California to homeschool because we're so unregulated. So the one thing we don't want to do is instill any regulations. And so we're going to have a couple of people who are going to come talk to us about that on Wednesday. On the 15th, which is Friday, Julianne Romanello is going to be back with us, and she's going to talk about carbon credits, because we found out that we have a carbon capture plant, the second largest in the whole world, in Shiloh, Oklahoma. And she's going to tell us, why would we even have that? What about carbon credits? Why are these things important? So she's going to come on and talk about that. And then the week after that, before Thanksgiving, we're going to have Chad McDougall, who is the chairman for the Petroleum Alliance. And he's going to talk to us about kind of the disagreement, if you will, or the differences between oil and gas, fossil fuels, and the green energy program. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then on the 22nd, we're going to talk to John Baca, who's an attorney in Hughes County. And he has uncovered honestly, a really massive tax credit scheme that is hurting every taxpayer on the federal level and on the state level. And he's going to talk to us about that on Friday. And then for Thanksgiving week, we will not be with you, because we won't be live. We'll be bringing you some rebroadcasts in case you've got a few minutes and you just need to get away from family or something and watch a podcast. I don't know, but we're going to do some rebroadcasts for you over the Thanksgiving week. And then we'll be right back with you again the week after that live. So thank you so much for joining us today. Please take what you've learned, go out into the public with that. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, please go to rope2.org and sign up for our newsletter, because I put a lot of this stuff in when I send it out on Mondays. And one of those is going to be a letter that we can all send to our Attorney General asking him to get these investigations done. So please sign up for that. And thank you again for being here. We're sorry Michael wasn't with us, but we'll see you again next Wednesday. Have a wonderful and blessed weekend, and yay, Trump.